Yeah.
Welcome to the Wise Take DFS podcast. I am your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined once again by one of Wise Take's finest DFS analysts, Mr. Johnny the Greek, better known across the Wise Take Nation as Johnny the Freak. You can find him on Twitter at GDaddy80. You can also find him up on them leaderboards over on DraftKings.com. Johnny, my man, how you doing today, bro?
Doing well, man. We had a good show today, and I kind of talked myself into some Sal Romano.
Okay.
So that worked out really well.
That was the right move.
Yeah, so that worked out pretty well. I'm in the leaderboards and all the cash stuff and all the single entries. I'm pretty high up there, and I got this great Colorado and Met stack that's going with my Tucker Barnhart and my Giancarlo Stanton home run that I had today. So looking really good there today, and everything. So, looks good, man. And then I see you in your new digs there, my friend.
Yes,
so
yes.
Congratulations on the new place.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it, man. It's definitely it's nice to be in a house instead of a condo. But man, I shout out to Brian Tullock. He joined us from Fantasy CPR. He comes a friend of the podcast, comes on the show all the time, and he has a free membership to Wise Take, so he comes in and helps us out. And when I was doing the strategy session, he actually joined us today, and he was talking up Sal Romano. He said I thought it was worth a shot. Ended up being a good call. I didn't go with Sal. I wasn't huge on it. I ended up going with Lauer, who's doing well. He's doing fine for me. I think he's got 18 right now, and he's still going. So knock on wood with that guy. But all in all, it sounds like the Wise Take Nation, us, and of course our friends, Brian. It sounds like everybody should have had a decent night tonight. So I know you and Paulie did a phenomenal job on the show, man. Shout out to you guys. As always, man, gonna camp cheat sheets and cash at everybody, man. Just what a great team we have, a great community, man.
It's a great effort, man. I got some positive feedback today from some people that aren't they're past members of Wise Take, but they don't do baseball, and a couple of them were interested in football stuff. So some DM me and some tweeted me about some coaching today and about missing the chat and stuff, and so they just don't do baseball.
Right.
So it's glad to see some of these guys missing us and wanting to come back for the football season.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm
right around the corner, man.
It's right around the corner. I'm pumped for that. I'm enjoying baseball. We're having a great year in baseball as a company, as a community, I should say, because it's not just the employees here. It's also the nation. It's also the members having a great year. So, it's a shame for those people who don't play baseball, DFS. Like, I understand, like, you don't want to play a sport that maybe you're not into, or maybe it's intimidating, but they're missing out. Like, I can't even describe, like, they're just missing out, man. Baseball is just money.
So much. It's free money every day. Right. I mean, like you're gonna get a day where you're gonna get cold a couple days here and there. It's gonna happen, but when you add it up, man, like it's the easiest money in cash, like of all sports. I think you play the chalk in cash. You find the right pitcher, you'll make the money. In football, it's so different because you have so many other games going on with so many more players, and if you make one or two pivots and mistakes on a big slate, you're not going to make any money. So I think it's a very easy sport to make cash. It's hard to win GPPs. Like GPPs are not easy in baseball because of the variance part. But cash games, man, this is free money.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It could be tough to win a GPP in baseball, but I do think that baseball, because of the variance, also gives the basic I don't know nothing about DFS. Like, they have more of a shot to kind of wing it in baseball than I think they do in other sports because there is so much variance. So it's like, I agree, it's tough, but at the same time, I think that I don't think these recreational players, so to speak, realize that they have a shot. Like, baseball is a sport where everybody kind of has a shot. So
And I agree with you, man. With the nation, man, it's great to see them taking down GPPs every day and making money. And then like literally when we make go on the on the Wise streams, and we get the chat that gets going, and they'll question some calls like, "Are you sure about that?" And they'll question us because they have so much knowledge with all the with all the stuff that we've taught them and the sessions that you've been doing with them. It's great, and I get these great tweets or DMs about lineups and questions every day. So it's good, man. I'm proud that these guys are growing and are just getting involved with it. And it's amazing, man. It's so great. Like you guys like me, you and Paulie, like we're pros. We're gonna make our money in DFS baseball, but it's awesome to see the members making money.
It is awesome. It definitely is awesome to see the nation win. It's what it's all about. So we do it for. Exactly. All right, Johnny. We're gonna do 2 slates.
It's all about paying it back, my friend.
It is. Good karma. Good things happen. We got 2 slates to break down because we only have 6 on the main. We got like 7 on the early on DraftKings. I think it's only 6 on FanDuel, but 7 on DraftKings. So pretty easy. So we're going to cover both, man. We're going to give the nation a treat. That's what we're going to do. We're going to cover both slates here. So let's get started with this early one. It's going to be a very early morning once again for Mr. Johnny the Greek, obviously over on the West Coast, because the slate starts at 12:35 Eastern. What's that, 9:35 your time, Johnny?
Oh, yeah, so it's an all-nighter for me tonight. Just to do my research and to get the articles out for the nation. Hey, I was going to throw this out there. This is a 2-game slate for people that have not tried us out yet. If you're looking to try us out for $2.50, you get 2 slates of content to make some money. So free money, baby.
That's it. I love it. It's just true. 2 slates, and the obviously the live stream is for the main slate only, and the cheat sheets. Maybe Cam will do 2, but most likely just for the main. But it's you're gonna get articles from for both slates, for tournaments from from myself, and of course cash games from Mr. Johnny, and you're gonna get the expert poll for both. We do 2 expert polls, which is a phenomenal thing. I love that. You get like 3 or 4 of our guys, and we kind of answer some of the key questions for the slate. That's one of my favorite things. Like I personally, even when I participate, I love to read it because I like to see what the other guys are on. I like to see what you guys are all on and see where I line up. And it's great. We have a ton of great things. I'll do the plug at the end. In the meantime, Johnny, let's start it off with Michael Fulmer of them Detroit Tigers visiting Tyler Mahle of the Cincinnati Reds. Looks like we have an 8.5 total. Cincinnati minus 128 at home. It's going to be 83 degrees, about 70% humidity. Should be another awesome hitting environment in Great American Small Park. What do you got?
Yeah, so we watched this game today. Same teams played, and it was Sal Romano, which is a guy that I pitched today, but normally I don't really like him. It's kind of it seemed like a gas can, but he started to put things together his last outing. We're kind of like in the same situation with these 2 pitchers today where you got Tyler Mahle, who's not a gas can, he's an okay pitcher against a really watered down Detroit lineup. The only problem that we have here is that it's an earlier time slot game, and the Tigers seem to play really well and score a lot of runs in those games. So for me, I don't think I can go to Mahle tomorrow. I think he's okay, but I don't think I can go there. And then Michael Fulmer, he's a decent pitcher. The problem with him is he just doesn't have the strikeout upside. So I don't think I'm going to go here. I think we can find some better value and some better options down here. But I think you can definitely attack some of these bats here in the Great American Small Park. I think like Scott Schebler's fine. Tucker Barnhart, if he's in the lineup, he typically doesn't do the back-to-back night day games. But if he's in, he's a great play. He had a great breakout game today. Like him a lot. And Scooter Gennett's in a phenomenal spot tomorrow. And on the other side here, it's just Martin for me, Leonis Martin, I should say. Like he's a really good hitter. He's been like hot or cold lately, so you got to make the decision if you want to include him in your lineups. He's a little bit expensive, but I really like him tomorrow in this matchup. And then I like Nick Castellanos every day. I think he's a great play.
Yeah, I agree. Castellanos has been hot. I think he got pulled a little early today, but that was because they were just getting destroyed. So should see him back in there. But he's been hot. I love what you said about Leonis Martin as well. I like that dude a ton. He did okay for me today. He's in one of my lineups now, and he didn't knock the cover off the ball, so to speak, but he did fine. And then he's got the upside to do it. We got a great ballpark for him. I'm with you on Detroit. Miggy especially. It's a shame Miggy's out because he's his day game numbers were always insane.
Amazing, yeah.
And this would have been an awesome opportunity. But in the meantime, we got some upside here against Mahle. I expect some people to go here because of Sal Romano and how successful he was. But I think where I think people misunderstand is like if Sal Romano was like 6K, he wouldn't have been played by anyone. You know what I'm saying? The reason people played him is because he was 4 8. So,
but if you watch how good he pitched though too, and the thing is that people forget that you're playing 9 innings of baseball. It's not 6 innings, 5 innings, 7 innings. And once they took him out, they hit this bullpen.
Yeah.
Like Detroit got right to this bullpen. So Cincinnati does not have a good bullpen. So even if Malley has a good game, let's say he goes 6 innings tomorrow, you're still going to get 3 innings of really bad bullpen. Sure. So I think these Detroit bats are fine.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Detroit is definitely. I'm willing to go back. I only played Martin today, but I think I could go a little bit more against Malley. And I think people will kind of lay off, go easy because of perception. I think people are going to be like, hey, Sal Romano went out there and balled out. I think Malley's better than Romano. I'm going to give it a shot. And, go ahead, do your thing. But at 6'3", I don't think it's enough of a discount for the great hitting atmosphere and the small park that we got. And Fulmer, not really interested. Don't really like righties against the Reds. They got so many good lefties. I don't want to do it. Fulmer doesn't strike guys out. Going to be a lot of balls put in play. This is not the ballpark where you want balls put in play. Not in this atmosphere. We should see some really good dew points, great hitting environment. I like both bats in this particular situation. Next up, Johnny, we got Anibal Sanchez of the Atlanta Braves visiting J.A. Happ of them Toronto Blue Jays. Total here is 8.5. Toronto minus 140 at home, 72 degrees, 51% humidity, similar to the weather we had today, in which they opened the roof. So I guess it's possible they will do it again. What do you think?
Yeah, so Anibal had a really good game last game out. He was a lot cheaper too. He's got a big price increase at $7,000. Like I, as good as he's been, and I don't think I can pay the $7,000 tomorrow. Not that Toronto is a great bunch of hitters here. It's not they're not going to put out one of the greatest lineups, but I still don't really want to go to Sanchez tomorrow. And I really don't want to play Happ tomorrow. I don't think he's got the upside that a couple other pitchers have on this slate that I would prefer to go to at around or a little bit cheaper, a little bit more price. So I think I'm going to fade both the pitchers here in cash. Maybe GBPs. I can make a case for both these guys. And I think on Toronto, you really want to look at Curtis Granderson tomorrow. If he's going to lead off, he's in the projected lineup leading off right now. I really like that spot. And I like that they moved Justin Smoke up in the projected lineup to number 2. I can do like a two-man combo there and maybe even include Teoscar Hernandez in like a little mini stack. So I think those guys are in play. And then on the other side here, you got Ozzie Albies in play every day. This guy's a great hitter. And then Dansby Swanson. If he's going to be in the 2-hole tomorrow at this cheap price as shortstop, at a position that it's really tough to fill, I really like that price. And I'd probably go there. So I think those guys are the main focus for me. That's really it for me.
Yeah, I think Happ at 10-1, a little too overpriced for me here against the Braves. Really don't like picking on the Braves to begin with. I'm not paying double digits for a guy. The only guy that I'll pay double digits for against the Braves is Jacob deGrom. He's the only one because he seems to, kind of have their number. But J.A. Happ is not Jacob deGrom. And especially if they open up this roof. When Toronto opens up that roof, we do typically see the ball fly a little bit more. I think the Braves are interesting, should be pretty low owned here against J.A. Happ. But obviously, should have some better spots. But again, Braves really good against lefties. I think, did they have a lefty? Jaime Garcia. They tattooed Jaime Garcia today. They put up a ton of runs on him. I know he's worse, don't get me wrong. But just a little example of what the Braves can do to a lefty. And I expect them to kind of get to Happ. And on the Toronto side, I do think Toronto, you're right, Anibal Sanchez had a great game. He came through for us. I think we were all on him last time in that small slate. He came through, did his thing. That was against the Padres. The Blue Jays are not the Padres, so I like it. Curtis Granderson. Josh Donaldson might actually make his return. Teoscar Hernandez is just a good hitter. Justin Smoke should be in there. Solarte, I'm digging it, man. I think Toronto has been playing another situation in which I like the bats. For show. Next up, we've got Michael Waka Flocka of the St. Louis Cardinals visiting Jake Arrieta of the Philadelphia Phillies. 8.5 is the total. Philly minus 120. At home, 85 degrees, 51% humidity, an awesome environment for hitting down in the city of brotherly love, also a small park. What do you got, Johnny?
Yeah, so you notice these Phillies have just been these pitchers have been pretty dominant against these righty Cardinals lately. Vincent Velasquez looked pretty good early today, and then you had Pivetta yesterday. Their bullpen just couldn't close the deal yesterday, but is this another situation where we get a right-handed pitcher against a heavy right-handed lineup? Jake Arrieta, $1,600. Maybe he becomes a guy that we look for some value. It's not a matchup that I really love. I think that the sleeping Bears are going to wake up here, and we can definitely see the Cardinals put up some runs here. Matt Carpenter, he's been really lined up lately. I think he's in a prime spot today, so he'd probably be the guy I'd really look to play here. But I'm off Walker tomorrow. I don't really like Walker in this spot. I think he's fine. I just his price is kind of a weird price, and I think I have to look into it a little bit more and do some profiling. But I think Arrieta is in play for me, and I like some of these Phillies bats. I like Adrubal Herrera here. He looks like he's going to be in a good spot. He's pretty cheap, pretty affordable, and Nick Williams is back to being cheap. So I like those two guys as my main focus, and I can always play Rhys Hoskins. He's just great at baseball. So
yeah, man, he's looked good since returning from his injury. He was very cold, so obviously something was wrong, and he looks good since coming back. I'm a little bit on the other spectrum. I actually prefer Waka. I think 7-8 is kind of a drastic price decrease for this matchup. I mean, it's a great hitting environment, so I don't know how much I love either pitcher. But right now, I love taking pitchers against the Phillies. I know that they're hot right now, so right now may not be the best time to do it. But they do still strike out a lot. Even with these good numbers, they're still striking out a ton. And Waka was just 9-4, 10K. He had one bad game against the Cubs, a very good offense. And now all of a sudden he's 7-8. So that's a little strange. I want to dig in on that a little bit. But initially, like I said, Waka at 7-8, and I'm like, I'm interested against the Phillies. But to your point, Johnny, the Phillies have been pretty damn hot. Odubel Herrera's hit a home run in 3 straight games. Rhys Hoskins is mashing the cover off the ball. And Nick Williams, assuming that he does make the lineup tomorrow, he's also been pretty hot. So it's definitely a risk. And at 7-8, if he's going to be chalk, it's going to be a risk that I think, you can kind of see why it would bust if it did. But initially, my first look is Waka 7-8. Interesting. But we'll dig in on that tomorrow and see where we land. Yep. With that said, my issue with Arrieta is he doesn't have a ton of K upside. He has been pitching. Like, he pulls out these games where all of a sudden he does. But looking at his history recently against St. Louis, he seems to be, like, inconsistent. He's had, like, some really good games against them, and then he's had some really bad ones. So I don't really know what to do about it. One thing I will say about Arrieta is his ground ball rate is phenomenal. So despite the fact that he's not striking guys out, his ground ball rate is pretty lethal, man. I think it's in the 60s or something crazy like that. But anyway... Renato Lopez of the Chicago White Sox visiting Corey Kluber of them Cleveland Indians. Total here sits at 7.5. Cleveland minus 300 at home. 70 degrees, 73% humidity in Cleveland. What do you got?
Yeah, like I think Ronaldo Lopez, good upcoming pitcher, but this isn't the right slate for him. This isn't the right matchup. Hopefully we'll get a day where we can play him in confidence. And then you got Corey Kluber here, who's probably the number one arm on the slate, probably definitely the most expensive guy to pay up for. I think there's going to be a guy here that's going to be able to give him a run for his money. We'll get there in a minute here, but I think Kluber's fine tomorrow. I think he's got a great matchup here against the White Sox. The only thing is, it seems like whenever he's in this matchup with the White Sox, he does give up a few runs here. So don't think he's going to have a clean game tomorrow, but there's definitely a ton of strikeout upside here against the White Sox. So I think he's in a good spot. And then these Cleveland bats are going to be really popular tomorrow. Last time against the White Sox, they were in Chicago and they were cold, and they just didn't hit. Now they're back at home where they hit better. Good hitting environment tomorrow. I think all these lefties are in play tomorrow. Don't forget like a guy like Lonnie Chisenhall at the bottom of the lineup. He's definitely a good play. Or even Tyler Nyquin. Those are guys you want to look at to be able to afford the stack. So I really like the Indian stack tomorrow. It's going to be a chalky spot, and it's probably going to be where you're going to need to go in cash games.
Yeah, the Indians are home. We know they pitch better at home. I do think Renato Lopez is a young, strong arm. However, I agree. I think he needs more time. I don't think he's ready. I know he's had his games, he's had his moments, but I fully expect the Indians to get to him and his extremely high xFIP. I feel like his xFIP is like in the 5s. It's something ridiculously high. So I do expect some aggression to catch up to Lopez. And what better team to do it than the left-handed heavy Cleveland Indians at home where they destroy baseballs. So yeah, I like the Indian stack as well. And Corey Kluber, I know he's 12-6, but probably one of the safest options on the board. I was not on the Clevenger train today in tournaments. I went Chris Sale, and Chris Sale got me a 30 on DraftKings, so that's fine. But Clevenger also ended up having a great game. He saw that team 3 times within a month, and he still went out there and had a great game. So, going to be hard not to go with Kluber. I think the last time Kluber played them, he put up 35. He went like 6 innings and had like 10 strikeouts or something like that. So, we know the upside's there with Kluber. Probably one of the safer options, but not necessarily the best point per dollar stud on the slate. Like Johnny said, I agree with that. Moving on to the next, we've got Ross Stripling of Patio Joe's Los Angeles Dodgers visiting John Lester, the lefty, from the Chicago Cubs. No total, of course. We are waiting for the wind. Chicago minus 112 at home. 70 degrees, 69% humidity. As of right now, the winds are projected to be blowing in from center at about 11 mile per hour. But obviously, this is the night before, so we'll see where it lands tomorrow. What do you think, Johnny? Is Stripling that guy?
Yeah, you could talk me to both these guys tomorrow. I might just pair them up. I think the only issue that I'm going to have here, against like this matchup is, on DraftKings, you're going to lose if you stack this game with pitchers, you're going to get the win possibly with just one. You can get no points out of this if it's a draw, or if your pitchers pull early and you're not ahead or you're tied. This is definitely looks like a game that can be very low scoring. Ross Stripling has showed nothing but to us that he's an ace. Like, he is legit. He's been pitching out of his mind. And you get John Lester, who's been pitching better. And he's going against a bunch of Dodgers that don't hit lefties well. So I think that this is a good matchup for both pitchers. Cubs have a big strikeout team. I like the matchup for both guys. Especially if the wind's going to blow in. I got to look at the weather report tomorrow, but if you're looking for in cash games, like a way to get the bats that you want in Cleveland, you can stack both these pitchers up. That way you don't have to play, one of these cheaper options. You don't have to look at one of those options and Kluber, and look at spending $20,000. Like, these two guys together, are about 18.5. So, 18.3. So you're looking at about 18.3 here for these two pitchers that are, in a pretty good spot tomorrow. So we're going to have to dive into again a little bit more tomorrow, look at the lineups and see where we're at. But right now, I like it. I think it's a good spot.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I've been super impressed with Stripling. I haven't played him too much at these expensive price tags, but I have been extremely impressed. And I think I might be willing to buy in. The Cubs don't strike out a ton, but if we're going to have 11 mile per hour winds blowing in, he is a significant discount from Kluber. My concern is, does he have the strikeout upside as Kluber? That I don't know. But he will allow you to load up on a lot more bats than Kluber will. That's for damn sure. So it may be worth the risk. 11 mile per hour winds blowing in seems pretty healthy. And John Lester at 8.6, like, it's intriguing. A lefty against the Dodgers, right? My only issue is looking at recent. The Dodgers have sucked against lefties for a while, but for some reason they haven't really sucked too bad against him. It looks like going back to last season, 3 games against these Dodgers, he really only had 1 good game. So we'll have to see. But initially, winds blowing in 11 mile per hour, the Dodgers against a lefty. Initially, it sounds good on paper, but we'll have to dig into that. But I'm with you on Stripling. I think he could be an interesting pivot off of the chalky Corey Kluber and allow you to pay up and maybe make up some of that lack of upside. Or I'm not saying that he doesn't have upside. Of course he does. But maybe if he doesn't quite get to where Kluber does, maybe you can make it up with the bats or your SP2 because you didn't have to go so low.
Sure.
Frankie Montas of the Oakland Athletics visiting Joey Lucchesi, making his return from the DL of the San Diego Padres. Total in this game currently sits at 8. San Diego minus 120 at home, 72 degrees, 70% humidity, and beautiful San Diego. What do you think?
I'm going to check DK real quick because I have it as Tyson Ross and Frankie Montas.
Yeah, DraftKings has it as Tyson Ross. I'm seeing Joey Lucchesi, but I'll check the MLB probables page. Let me see.
Okay.
And we'll see what they have to say. Oops. Yep, here we go. I'll check right now. Looks like Joey Lucchesi, according to MLB.com. So they must have decided.
Okay, so let me look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me look what his price is here.
His return from the DL. I believe he's 8-1. 8-1 for Lucchesi.
Yeah, so that's a little expensive. Same price as Ross is going to be at. Yeah. I think he's okay tomorrow. It's probably not going to be a preferred play at this price tomorrow. I can see the merit in people wanting to go there against the A's. They can definitely strike out. Good ballpark. So I think I would probably prefer to go on the opposite side and take Frankie here. Just want to look at his pitch type real quick here. One second. Yeah, I think I would go to Frankie here. I think he's okay. He had a bad blow up game against Houston, but he looks pretty good. He profiles pretty well against them. So I have some interest in Frankie Montas tomorrow at 6,700. I think I can go there. I don't think I'm going to go to any of these Padres, but I definitely like when I see Dustin Flowers at the top of a lineup. But I don't think he'll make the lineup because that's for Tyson Ross. So the projected lineup's not going to help anybody out today. I think the guys we're going to look at are going to be probably Simeon tomorrow, Chris Davis, and probably Pinder. Those are going to be the guys we're going to take against Lucchesi tomorrow.
Yeah, the Oakland really struggles against lefties, and that's why I played what's his name, Lauer today. And Lauer went out there and smashed. He's out of the game now, so now I'm sweating that he gets the win. But again, similar to Sal Romano, the main reason I took the chance is because he was so cheap. 8-1 for Lucchesi seems a little steep, and it's not like the A's can't hit lefties. It's that at times they struggle. So after seeing a lefty all day today and now getting another one tomorrow, one that's returning from the DL, I do think Lucchesi may be a little overpriced. I think I might agree with you there. I'll dig in and try to do some profiling for tomorrow's article, but my initial instinct is to agree with you and say that Lucchesi is a little expensive. Montas is definitely, I think, in play. At 6'7", he's really cheap. He doesn't have a ton of K upside, but he's going to get a little bit of a boost here against the Padres. They give everybody a little bit of a boost. And Montas has done a decent job limiting his contact. I don't think Montas is really great, but I think his FIP is under 4, which isn't bad for a 6-7 price tag against a weak offense. Like, even Blackburn, man, like, it looked like he was going to get rocked. And he's another one that doesn't strike dudes out. And the Padres couldn't put up more than 2 runs on him. So it's like, I think we have to consider.
Yeah, we talked about we talked about Blackburn a little bit today too on the live stream.
We talked about those pictures on the strat too, man. We were all on the same page today, and it makes sense. So yeah, right now I kind of lean a little bit towards maybe the A's if I'm not going to play Lucchesi. Guys like you said, like Chad Pinder, maybe some Crush Davis. Although I do think Crush Davis is overpriced, but we can get a lot of these A's pretty cheap. We can.
Yeah.
The other ones. Last game on the early slate, Jose Urena. This is probably only on DraftKings. This must be the game that got cut out. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know why they would cut out. This game's only 5 minutes later. I don't know why they would cut this one. I'm gonna do some investigation. Oh no. Okay, FanDuel stops after the 220. So after the Cubs game, FanDuel stops.
Okay.
So these next 2 games are for DraftKings only. Well, the game we just covered and then this last one, which is
this game we're going to do.
Jose Urena of the Miami Marlins visiting Johnny the Freak's San Francisco Giants. Total in this game currently sits, where'd it go? At 7.5. Derek Holland pitching for the Giants. Forgot to mention that. San Francisco minus 135 at home. 60 degrees, 75% humidity out in San Francisco. Johnny, tell us about your Giants.
I don't know why Derek Collins $7,200 tomorrow. I don't know what in his career he's ever done to make his salary $7,200. This is a good ballpark for him. I know that the Marlins aren't a great team, but these should be that he's just too expensive. I think Urena's okay. I just don't like his price at $6,500 tomorrow. I think I'm just gonna pass pitchers. I think there's obviously we've gone over some better pitchers at cheaper prices, so I think I'm going to pass here. I think we could take some plays here and eat some offense against Holland a little bit. I think some Anderson's in good play tomorrow. I like Cameron Maben, and I like Lewis Brinson. Those guys look pretty good to me tomorrow. And then against Urena, Brandon Belt's back. He's probably going to hit a home run tomorrow against Urena. So I like Belt tomorrow. I don't like that we're not going to see any Crawford tomorrow. that would make me have a lot more interest in the Giants. But it's going to be some Belt tomorrow, maybe Panic at the top, and maybe some Andrew McCutcheon. So maybe that 1-2-3 at the top for the Giants. So them there, like a little mini stack is in play. And then again, Brian Anderson, Lewis Brinson, and Cameron Maybin all in play against Derek Collins.
Yeah, I agree. I think we know the Marlins are a pretty right-handed heavy team. So whenever they get a lefty, they can really stir up some trouble, even in a big ballpark like here in San Francisco. So I think that the Marlins are interesting, starting with Brian Anderson. You got JT Realmuto, Maybin. Lewis Brinson strikes out a ton, but he does have tremendous power. And even Starlin Castro, as of late, has kind of been turning it up to a different level. So I do think the Marlins could be kind of sneaky. At least a couple guys. I don't know if I would do a full Marlins stack out of all the bats on the slate, but I could be talked into a couple. And I like to pitch Arena in the right matchup. I don't think the Giants are that right matchup. I just don't anticipate them striking out a lot, especially with Joe Panic back. I think he's an interesting value play. He's at second base at 3-2. And I think Brandon Belt coming back is going to also give another boost to this Giants offense. They really missed him. He's just got so much power, and he's another one of those guys that doesn't strike out a ton. So, I think that some of these Giants are interesting against Arena, mainly Panic and Belt. And I agree, it's a shame that Crawford isn't going to be in the lineup, man. That dude got hot for a little while there. I was playing him every day, and it was nice. It was real nice. Anyway, that's going to do it.
And I'm just like you with Urena. I like playing him when he's like in the $5,000 range.
Yeah,
but
right matchups.
Yeah, that's a little bit too much.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for the early slate. Let's move it over to this main slate. Looks like we got 7 games. And we're going to start off with Brent Suter, the lefty from Cam's Milwaukee Brewers, visiting Chad Cool. Patty Ojoba should have been on this show, I guess. The smooth sounds of Chad Cool and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Total here is 8.5. Pittsburgh plus 100 at home. 74 degrees, 87% humidity. However, looks like we have a pretty solid chance of some rain. 53% chance of precipitation as of right now. We'll talk about the game as if it's going to play. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I have some interest in Suter here, 6,500 tomorrow against the Pirates. I don't like the ballpark here, for bats is that much, but I really like the ballpark for the pitchers. I think Brent Suter's in a good spot here. Typically the Pirates lefties are, the better of this lineup. There are some righties that can get to him, but I think he's in play tomorrow at this cheap price. And on the other side here, I don't have a ton of interest in Chad Cole. I like him when he's a little bit cheaper. I think he's okay, but just not a play for me. I would have a lot of interest in the Brewers lineup tomorrow if we get the return of Travis Shaw, which I really feel like is hurting this lineup right now. So it's just another good bat that they have to work around. So if Shaw's back tomorrow, I'll have some interest in the Brewers. If not, it'll just be a couple of one-offs here, maybe like Eric Thames with a lot of power here. But other than that, it's probably going to fade on the Brewers side. And then the Pirates, no, I have too much interest in Brett Suter. Not going to go here. If you wanted to take anybody against them, I look at Josh Harrison. That's probably going to lead off tomorrow.
Yeah, initially, I'm looking at Brent Suter's game logs, and he's just been pitching really well. I don't really understand why. I mean, I haven't really watched him too much. Maybe Cam could fill us in on that, but he doesn't throw hard, doesn't have anything overwhelming, but the results have been there, man. He's got quite the streak of impressive games, and he's only 6'5". It's a great ballpark for him. I really don't like taking pitchers against the Pirates, especially lefties. So I don't know how much I'll actually look to play. I guess it's going to depend. I haven't really looked too much at this slate, so it's going to depend on what else is out there. But yeah, initially I can say that I think this is more of a situation that I'm not going to have too much exposure to really anything here. I could see an Eric Thames against a Chad Cool. If Shaw is out, I do think Chad Cool becomes a guy that you could play. Is it a guy we want to play? Not really, but it's a guy that you could play. Just like you mentioned, because Cool is kind of like Taillon in that he's pretty good against righties and he's just terrible against lefties. So, I'm just like a one-off kind of situation. You want to play like a Harrison, like you said, or a Francisco Cervelli. I think that's fine. And on the Milwaukee side, I'm fine with like a Thames one-off. But although I will say, if Travis Shaw is back, I wouldn't mind like a little mini stack there of like Thames, Yelich, and Shaw. But if Shaw is out, that's a blow to this lineup. Shaw's having a great year. Next up, Andrew Kashner of the Baltimore Orioles, who were able to put up a massive amount of runs today. I was shocked. Visiting Gio Gonzalez of those Washington Nationals. Total here is 9. Washington minus 210, 79 degrees, 80% humidity. Another awesome hitting environment in the D.C. area. What do you got, Johnny?
Man, this $4,700 for Andrew Kashner. Don't take that bait tomorrow. I don't think it's a good play. Gio Gonzalez is not a guy I really love to pitch. He's expensive tomorrow. I like some pitches I saw below, so I'm probably not going to go there tomorrow. I think you can take some of these Nationals bats tomorrow. I think they're going to be popular in cash. Juan Soto, in a good spot tomorrow. Adam Eaton, Rendon, Harper, Daniel Murphy. There's just a really good. I do like Trey Turner at batting sixth at his price. I won't pay that, but I think 1 through 5 is in a good spot. And then on the other side here, I think there's a lot of guys that can get to Gio. Adam Jones, Craig Gentry. I'm not a Craig Gentry fan, but if he's leading off tomorrow, $2,500, he's just a great plug and play leading off. Manny Machado, Danny Valencia hits lefties really well, so he's a really cheap third base option that you have out there. So I think there's some guys here that can do some damage tomorrow to Washington. Baltimore's coming alive a little bit here. So for me, it's going to just be the bats. I'm not going to pitch anybody here.
Yeah, I mean, Gio Gonzalez, he's just kind of vanilla. Always has been. Not a guy with a super high ceiling. He's got upside, but not really ceiling. And at 10-2 against Baltimore, it's certainly attractive on paper, but I do have a little bit of a fear also that Baltimore is starting to wake up. And surprisingly, if you actually look at the numbers, don't look at their rank, but if you actually look at the actual projected lineup and look at their strikeout numbers, they really don't strike out as much against lefties. So again, another situation where I'm not sure how much upside is here. We did talk about last night how this is actually sort of a rivalry game. These guys they play pretty close to each other, similar to the Mets and Yankees, similar to the White Sox Cubs. That kind of rivalry. It's obviously they're in 2 different divisions, so they don't really care at the end, but it's a pride thing. And so we saw Baltimore, they really played today. They went out there, they were striking out, but at the end of the day, they were going out there doing their thing. So, I think that Baltimore could be kind of sneaky. At least a couple of their guys like Manny Machado, Adam Jones, maybe a Mark Trumbo. Maybe they are starting to wake up. And I love the Nationals. Haven't really gotten them right just yet. I keep going and I'm getting the wrong guys. Like Trey Turner was that guy today, had a monster game and he was batting 6, and that kind of got me off of him a little bit. But I'm going to keep going back there, man. I'm going to keep going back there. There's too many good hitters on this lineup. Once they start clicking, they're going to start destroying teams, and I want to get in early rather than late. So bring it on against Andrew Kashner. I'll take me some Nats in a great hitting environment. Let's do it. Next up, Felix Hernandez of the Seattle Mariners visiting Jonathan. I can never say this guy's name. Loizigna? I don't know. Paulie's going to have to help me out with that one. Anyway, of the New York Yankees. Paulie D's New York Yankees. Total here is 9. Yankees minus 180 at home. 71 degrees, 80% humidity. But we do have 36% chance of precipitation. Possibly some light rain. What do you got here?
Yeah, so Luis Siga, last game out here, he pitched pretty well. But this is a different matchup here with the Mariners that don't strike out a ton. He's pretty expensive, $8,300. I know he had a decent matchup. Didn't get doesn't have a ton of K upside that I see here. So I don't know if I could pay this price at $8,300. I think he's fine. I just don't think that he's worth his value tomorrow. Felix Hernandez, I can't go here at all. I think Yankees definitely stacking against Hernandez's line play, and you could definitely look at some one-offs here against the Yankees, against Jonathan here. And, look at Seager. He's pretty cheap. I like D. Gordon at the top. I think those are the 2 main guys that focus. So no Luis Siga for me tomorrow, and no Hernandez.
I like how you said that, Luis Siga. I like that.
I think that's the way.
I couldn't get anything.
I think that's the way it's supposed to be.
I couldn't.
Okay.
I couldn't get anything. King Felix, no thank you. I can load up on the Yankees bats for sure in the small ballpark. This is not in a good environment for Felix. Yankees seem to be heating up, hit more home runs today. Like me some Yankees for sure. And I do think at 8-3 because we have like Charlie Morton on the slate and like I did take a quick peek and the rest of the pitching option is kind of shitty. Like we don't have a ton of great options. So at 8-3 the problem is like he's not like an SP1 in my eyes. Not against Seattle. They don't strike out enough. They're in a small ballpark. So if he's not an SP1, he's probably too expensive to be my SP2. So I think this kid is talented. I think he's going to be great, but he might be a little priced out for me unless I decide to make him my SP1. But I just think he's a little too expensive to be an SP2, and that's kind of what's deferring me. But again, I think the Yankees offense is in a great spot, and if you're not going to play this kid, you have to like some of the Seattle guys: Nelson Cruz, Gene Segura, D. Gordon, like you mentioned, and Kyle Seager, and hopefully we see. What's his name in there? Can't think of his name. The other lefty. What's his name? They just traded for him. I don't know. Anyway.
I forgot.
We'll see. It's a lefty bat, though. But anyway. Yeah, Yankees are in play. If you're not into... I don't think that this Jonathan kid's not in play. I just think, I know there's some expensive other SP1s who are a little bit more stable, have better matchups. And so it's tough to kind of make this guy that guy. But for now, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Nathan Eovaldi of the Tampa Bay Rays visiting Charlie Morton of the Houston Astros. Total here currently sits at 8. Houston minus 250 at home. 80 degrees, 90% humidity, light rain in the forecast, which means they will be closing the roof. What do you got here?
Yeah, so Charlie Morton looks like the top arm to pay up for tomorrow against these Tampa Bay Rays. Nathan Eovaldi doesn't have a chance against these Rays. Against these Astros. Astros are going to pummel them tomorrow. I like the Astros stack a lot. Tampa Bay though has been getting to some of the better pitchers this year. It was Verlander that they struggled a little bit against his last 2 games ago. Morton is fine, I think. I think I'm going to go cheaper if I can at pitcher. I think I got a guy that's coming up soon that we're going to talk about. But I think Morton's a good cash game play. I just think I might go a little cheaper if I can. And we're going to talk about the guy in a second. But on the Astros, I think they're all in play. 1 through 9. Anybody that has a pulse on the Astros, tomorrow's in play.
Yeah, Eovaldi against the Astros doesn't seem like a good situation for him. He throws a lot of fastballs. He's right-handed. If you're hoping Houston's going to struggle, it's typically against a lefty, and that is not the case here. So yeah, I do like the Astros offense for sure on this slate. And yeah, Morton is probably going to be one of your safest options on the board, but again, he's 12-2, so you're paying a lot. You'd like to try to find someone cheaper to pivot to, especially because Morton has been a little inconsistent of late. But the matchup is really good against the Rays. He has pitched a lot better at home this season, so obviously Charlie Morton is in play. I agree, though. I'd like to, because we have so many expensive bats, like we already talked about Houston, we talked about the Yankees, and even the Nationals who are expensive, we're going to want to find some cheaper options and find the cheapest way to get that upside as possible. So we'll have to see on Morton. But obviously, he makes for a fine play. David Price, the lefty of the Boston Red Sox, visiting Lance Lynn of the Minnesota Twins. Total here is 9. Minnesota plus 130 at home. 80 degrees, 53% humidity. Sounds like a pretty decent day for hitting out in Minnesota. What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, I like David Price a lot tomorrow. And there's why. He looks like he's starting to pitch better. His strikeouts have gone back up. Last 3 matchups against Seattle, Chicago, and Houston, he had 7, 6, and 7 strikeouts. So strikeouts are up. Those are teams that don't strike out a lot. Like Houston's not a big strikeout team, nor is Seattle. So he did really well there. And he's gotten over 100 pitches in 2 of those 3 games. So I like it. Minnesota is not good against lefties. They're better at home. I get it in Minnesota for sure, but they just don't hit lefties well. And today, their best left-handed hitter was out of the lineup, and I don't think he's going to make the lineup tomorrow. Looking at the projected lineup, and Max Kepler. So I think that David Price is fine tomorrow. $9,700. I think that some guys are going to go here in cash or GBPs. I think it's a viable option both ways. I think if you're going to go and you want to do like 2 mid-tier pitchers, I think David Price is one of those guys in cash games, and then you pay it for another guy. If not, you can go to Charlie Morton and a guy we're going to get to later that I'm probably going to get laughed at, but we'll talk about that one too. And on Minnesota, nobody in Minnesota for me, and Boston is always in play.
Yeah, I like Boston. It's a righty, so that pretty much checks the box that you need from Boston to be in play. So yeah, I do like the Boston Red Sox. I don't necessarily want to say that they're cold or cooling off because Jose Barrios pitched well against them. Jose Barrios is a good pitcher, and he pitches really good at home. That was kind of something that we all discussed was a possibility. So. I think the Red Sox offense certainly in play. And listen, David Price has been consistent. I've been anti-Price for his last 3 or 4 starts. And at a certain point, with the way he's pitching and the numbers are supporting it, if I don't admit that he's in play against a team that struggles mightily against lefties, I just become a hater. And I don't want to be a hater. So yeah, I think David Price at 9.7. I don't love the price, but when you consider the fact of what everybody else's price is on the slate, no pun intended for Mr. David Price. You have to consider it. I mean, when you're considering the fact that Morton is 12-2, is 9.7 that much? Is that bad for David Price pitching against the Twins, who have been horrible against lefties? They were able to put up 2 runs on Sale, but Sale still put up 30 DraftKings points, and you don't need 30 DraftKings points from Price, but he's got the possibility to get it for you. So yeah, I think he's in play against the Twins, who have struggled against lefties all season. And yeah, we talked about the Boston offense, so let's move on. Austin's Bibbins Dirks of the Texas Rangers visiting Jake Junis of the Kansas City Royals. Total here is 9.5. Kansas City minus 115. 83 degrees, 62% humidity, 10-mile-per-hour winds projected to blow out the center out in the large ballpark of Kansas City. What do you like here?
Yeah, we played some Junis this year, definitely at a lower price. And a little different matchup. I don't think it's the right matchup from tomorrow in Texas. A lot of, at home against Texas. A lot of lefties here that can get to him. You're going to see probably the return of Joey Gallo tomorrow. Just another, strikeout or big home run guy. But yeah, I just don't think I go to Junis for $1,500 more. I can have Price, so I don't think I'll go there. But I think some of these bats are in play. Like Merrifield's good. I think he's a good little hitter. You always have Moustakas in against righty, but that's really going to end for me here because Austin Bivens Dirk at $4,000 is the site minimum, and last time out against the Royals, he put up over 12 points. And if you get 12 points on this slate out of a $4,000 pitcher, you're cakes and pies. You're happy as you know what, and you'll take that to the bank. So I think in cash games right now on the surface, Austin Bivens Dirk's in play. Against these Royals, and I like the Rangers bats against Junis a little bit. So that's where I'm going to end up tomorrow. Right now, I have 2 different builds I'm looking at in cash. I'm either going to go with like David Price with another mid-tier guy, or we're going to go with Morton with Austin Bivens Dirks.
I don't hate it. It's Kansas City. It's a huge ballpark. Kansas City is not a very good offense. You got guys like Mike Moustakas, Sal Perez. And they have some young guys like Hunter Dozier, who I think will eventually be pretty good. Whit Merrifield is still kind of inconsistent, but eventually I think he's got some talent. But he's 4K. That's it. I mean, he's priced like a hitter. I mean, and here's the thing: is I agree with you that I think that these Rangers. Number one, I think the Rangers are kind of hot right now. They're kind of warm, and they're not striking out, and they're healthy now. They got Elvis Andrus back. They got Beltre back. I think they're at a point now where they have their regular team, and especially with Joey Gallo coming back into the lineup, I think they can give Junis problems. So I do like the Rangers' offense, and so that leads me to believe that there's potential here that Bivens Dirks can get the win. If he gets the win at 4K on DraftKings, he's already more than halfway to paying off his salaries. So it's do I think Bivens Dirks is some great pitcher? Absolutely not. But I do think the Royals are one of the weaker offenses in the league. I think this is a decent ballpark for pitchers, and I think that there's a good chance that Texas does get to Junis, and if they do, there's a bad bullpen waiting behind Junis. So if Bivens Dirks can just limit his damage, I mean, in his last game against them, that 12 he put up, he could have put up a lot more. He had 6 strikeouts. He gave up 4 earned runs, but he had 6 strikeouts. So that speaks some volumes. I think at 4K, I don't hate it, man, especially because we do have Coors on this slate. And Coors has been going off. It certainly did tonight. Seth Lugo of my New York Mets visiting Chad Bettis of those Colorado Rockies. Total here is 11.5. Colorado minus 115 at home. 68 degrees, 50% humidity out in Denver. What are you doing with Coors tonight, man?
I mean, that's the thing. It's going to be cashy. Like you got to make this decision here. There's so many good hitting environments, and there are a lot of expensive hitters. So you got to always make some kind of a choice here, a hard decision on where you're going to pay up for, who you're going to leave off the table, and who you're going to, who you're not, who you want to play. So I think that the bats are just so important tomorrow that I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of pitching. So I think that it's this Austin Dirks Bivens is going to pick up a lot of steam tomorrow, and you're going to see him being used a lot in cash games because of that. And both these Mets and Rockies offenses are in play for me. I'm not going to go anywhere with the pitchers here for sure, but these guys have been going off the last 2 days. Tomorrow it looks like it's going to be the lefty day. Today for Colorado was more of the righties. So we're going to look at Charlie Blackmon tomorrow. Carlos Gonzalez are the preferred plays, and then even Para here. He's kind of cheap. You can get him in, and then you get you can look at Story or Arenado, but I think they're a little expensive. Probably wouldn't go there. And on the other side here with Mets, Brennan Nemo, this guy's been just phenomenal this year. You got Michael Conforto, who's got a good matchup here. Even Dominique Smith, I like all these guys here. Even Devin Mesoraco, and don't sleep on Rosario here at his cheap relief price here at 3,500 in Coors, batting ninth, I think, or batting eighth. I think it's a pretty good spot for him for a shortstop. So I think a game stack is firmly in play here. I think individual stacks are firmly in play, and all the lefties here for cash.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any interest in pitching Seth Lugo, I don't think. But I do think Seth Lugo is decent. So I don't think I think I prefer the Mets bats in this situation. And it's not a homer move, I promise. I know Seth Lugo enough. And the Mets with Seth Lugo and Giselman are actually pretty good. So I think Lugo, he's 6'1". Like, I don't know if I could pull the trigger pitching him because we do have a couple other guys. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, like the pitching position is kind of weak. So I think maybe there could be merit. Put it this way. I don't know if I want to rule out Seth Lugo just yet. I do like the Mets against Bettis. Bettis has had a couple good games over the last 2 years against the Mets. Both of those, though, were at Citi Field. This is going to be a totally different world for Bettis, who has struggled mightily at home. I expect these Mets to really put it up. And they are a little expensive, and that's part of the reason that I think I had some of that shared interest with you, Johnny, even in tournaments for Bivens Dirks. But we know one thing we know about the Rockies. They score a lot of runs, but they can also strike out with the best of them. So I think it's kind of a coin flip in this situation. We'll dig in, do the profiling, do what we do, Johnny. Help the nation with some guidance as always. But initially, you got to like the bats, especially the Mets. I do lean towards the Mets here. And that is going to do it for the Wise Take Game by Game podcast. 2 slates for you guys, because me and Johnny are just such nice people. With that said, I'm going to remind everybody, if you haven't already, check us out at wisetake.com. I don't know what you're waiting for. Come rock with us. We already spoke a little bit in the beginning, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But just to let you know, like Johnny said before, it's a great day to try us out if you don't know what we do. Or we're a DFS community and designed to help make you a better player. We have all kinds of things, but we offer articles for GPPs, cash games. There's no strategy session tomorrow because we do have 2 slates, so no strategy session. But we will have early slate coverage with an expert poll, which again is when we take a few of our guys and we ask them 8 essential questions for the slate. And right there in that one article, you get kind of the key answers from some of your favorite DFS experts at Wise Take. So that's awesome. You also get a cash game article from Johnny, who's just mastering cash games in baseball this year. You're going to get a GPP article from myself. You're going to get, you obviously have the chat rolling, so hopefully one of us can make it up in the chat, one of the Wise Take guys. And if not, you have the members. And Johnny, what you said, you couldn't have been more right when you talked about the members, man. Some of those guys have learned so much that it's incredible. And like they give us feedback that we enjoy. Like they might point something out that we missed. And it's just a great thing. It's a community, guys. We all work together. We all want to win. We all have fun. Make DFS fun again. No, I'm just kidding. But it's definitely what we do. So come rock with us. $2.50, all it takes. If you can't afford that, you probably shouldn't be playing DFS. But come rock with us. Come check us out. And I think you're going to like what you see. With that said, Johnny, let's do some top threes, man. We'll do the main slate only for the top threes. Top three pitchers. And I know it sucks because we have some really ugly pitching options. But top three pitchers.
Yeah, this is easy. This is an easy one for me. It's going to go Charlie Morton, David Price, and we're going to take Mr. Austin Bivens Dirks.
I like it. Morton and Price for sure for me. I honestly do like Dirks, but just to throw a little curveball, like Lugo's kind of growing on me a little bit, so I might throw Lugo's name into the hat. But in all reality, my top three would be the exact same as yours, with Bibb and Dirks at 4K, kind of making it flexible, and you choose Morton or Price, whoever you think either A has the better situation, or B whatever you can afford for the bats, exactly, without sacrificing the bats. Top three stacks, Johnny. What do you like?
Yeah, so we got to look at the Coors Field. I'm just gonna say Coors Field just in general, and then I'll pick two other ones here. I like the Astros tomorrow against Eovaldi. He throws a hard fastball, but it's straight. There's no movement here. That just makes it even easier to leave the ballpark here. Astros aren't going to miss him. It's my favorite stack besides the Coors Field, and I really like Texas tomorrow against Junis. So those are the places I'm right now focusing on. I think those are all good spots.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Mets number 1. I will go with the New York Yankees number 2, and then the Houston Astros probably number 3 with Texas right on their coattails. I do like Texas a lot. It's pretty close to me between Houston and Texas. Dong watch time, man. Who's hitting homers? I think it's okay to take Coors, guys. We can incorporate that. So, what do you got?
All right. So if Joey Galloway's in the lineup tomorrow, he's hitting a home run.
I like it. I will go with give me Mr. Didi Gregorius against Felix. What Didi?
Okay. Mookie Betts tomorrow against Lance Lynn. I like that.
I like that call. I'm gonna pull a Coors call, and I'm gonna go with Brandon Nimmo against Chad Bettis. One of the more obvious calls, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good call here. And I'm gonna take a homer against Lugo here. I'm gonna go with but I'm not gonna take the obvious one. I'm gonna go with Carlos Gonzalez against Seth Lugo.
There you go.
He's a little expensive, but I think it's a good play.
He hit one today, man. Yep.
I'll
wrap it up with Mitch Moreland of the Boston Red Sox. Lance Lynn, as good as he did against righties, he does struggle against lefties. So let's do it, man. Let's win all the money tomorrow, Johnny. 2 slates.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's win all the money tomorrow.
Let's do it, man.
Slate in action. Ladies and gentlemen, That's going to do it for the Wise Take DFS podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please click that thumbs up, that like button. Subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Facebook, give us a like and a share. Support the Wise Take Nation. If you're watching on Twitch or Twitter, give us a follow, give us a retweet. And if you're listening on Podbean or iTunes, give us some 5-star reviews. Help bump us up those charts. Really helps us out. It means a lot to us, guys. Whatever platform you're on, least you can do is give us a little bit of support by showing us some love. Johnny, any closing thoughts for the nation before we get up out of here?
No, man, it's just a great day to come and join us. If you're not a member already, come out, give us a shot here. We got some cool things coming up here. Football season's right around the corner, and I got some things up my sleeve here that I haven't even talked to CK about. But I'm gonna do some promos coming up here soon for football season to kind of get that off and running. So stay tuned and come join us.
Let's do it. I love it. Sounds like money. For Johnny the Greek, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.